The Chatting Average, another episode here on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. I don't know. Honestly, if you're not listening to your podcast on Spotify,
Hey, wait till they pay us first before you say that.
Hayden, I'm not hating, but
I'm an Apple Podcast guy. I got to admit, I am.
I'm judging him.
Shout out Amazon Music. I don't use it, but shout out.
Yeah, we're on there. We're on there.
We
might be able to get our podcast on at the Daniel Boone Regional Library on audiobook, but I'm not really sure for sure.
You have a Kayak subscription. You won't need it, but you can still listen to our podcast. Just not on Kayak.
If you're flying to a foreign country, you could also listen. You say we're on Kahoot?
Canoe.
Nice. That was a good joke.
Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome to the Chatting Average. Second episode of 2025. Look at us.
Yeah,
we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're trying to continue. I don't know what John's doing. He's putting his hand up, but something fell over there.
No, I don't think anything fell.
Anyways, in 3 separate states. Adam is in the Colorado state. John is in the Georgia, and I'm in Indiana still. We'll all be back together soon.
That is true.
Maybe we should record one podcast together.
We should record one podcast at Mort's.
No.
It's just a thought. We don't have to do that.
But we could record one all together.
Yeah, I'm with that.
We'll discuss this.
It may take a little extra work, but we could do it.
We can figure it out.
All right. We've got a few things in free agency to talk about, and then kind of go over some of the top 25 free agents. And obviously a bunch of those, more than half, are now signed somewhere, but we'll talk about those as well. And then if we have time, we can react to what the MLB is calling their top 10 players at every position that they've only released 2 positions for.
Well, we should probably save that for when all the positions are out then. Maybe that'll be next.
I mean, we could.
I'm just saying, I think that would make more sense.
It's just that they do it every day for the next 85 days because I don't know, they're impossible to just do it simply. Keep counting, John.
Okay.
There's a lot of positions in baseball.
When do I stop?
All right. You guys want to get started with the free agency stuff?
Yeah, let's get into the free agents. Our last episode was recorded on January the 4th, the morning of January the 4th. And good news, guys, there were no free agent signings that afternoon. So we've got nothing on the 4th. Going to the 5th, we've got one deal. It's only a minor league deal, but still somebody that could see some impact time at the major league level. Cavan Biggio, former Toronto Blue Jay, signing a minor league deal with the Royals. Does this move the needle for either of you?
No.
All right.
If he's fine at the AAA level, I don't know what position he's going to play. He's basically added depth. In every position in the infield but first, right?
No, he's played first too. He played first when Freddie Freeman was hurt.
Do you think he ever caught?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I mean, think about who Craig Biggio is.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point in his life he did. But Cavan Biggio certainly a glove-first player. Somebody that isn't particularly talented with the bat. That's what led to the end of his time in Toronto last year. Never really hooked on with another team after that. So this one I don't necessarily expect to really be a big deal for the Royals, but a team that has struggled with depth over the past few years, and maybe not so much last year, but over the last several years has struggled with injuries and keeping their players on the field. Looking at Adalberto Mondesi, for example, it's never a bad idea to have somebody with major league experience in the farm system. Moving forward to the 6th, we've got 3 deals today. First and foremost, the Royals once again re-signing Michael Lorenzen. We've got a trade. Gavin Lux goes from the Dodgers to the Reds. The compensation there is a competitive round A draft pick, and Mike Sirota. Talk a little bit about that in a minute. And the Rangers getting on the board as well, signing Chris Martin, right-handed pitcher. Where do we want to start?
I mean, we could always just go down the line.
Yeah, I think obviously keeping Lorenzen as the Royals is a great deal, especially after you lose Brady Singer. I mean, trade Brady Singer. It's not like he walked away, but I think keeping some of that bullpen stuff together, some of that pitching staff together is really important, especially when you're looking to bring up guys that are going to perform. You'd rather have somebody in there that, you can probably for sure get 6 innings out of.
Yeah, the Royals said, the front office said after this signing that he's somebody that's going to be a bit of a yo-yo guy. Could see him as a long reliever, could see him getting spot starts as well. That's kind of been his role at the major league level over the last 5 years or so. After the outfield experiment ended, he's just kind of been a relief pitcher, occasional spot starter, yo-yo guy. And that works well for him. He's had success as a spot starter. He had that no-hitter for the Phillies. This is a guy that I think is a good add to any major league staff. The Royals, I think, have one of the better staffs in baseball, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of be the odd man out there. But it's never a bad idea to have a 6th starter just in case.
Yeah, and it's not like he was bad. Towards when he did play the first time he was in KC, he did battle with a bit of injury, but he wasn't bad. He was effective in that kind of swingman yo-yo guy role. So I like this for Kansas City. They've been making savvy moves for over the past 2 off seasons. I like where this is headed. I think this is obviously an organization with upside. So I think just keeping people in place to have that continuity for young players, I think is really important.
I'll tell you one thing for sure, and that's that Michael Lorenzen will end up on my fantasy baseball team at some point next year. Moving forward, Gavin Lux to the Reds. How do we feel on that?
See, we talked about this in the group chat when it first broke, and I think the consensus was, where does he fit? Because in Los Angeles, he got pushed out when they signed Hye-Sung Kim. He kind of didn't really fit anywhere else because he was essentially a worse utility guy than Chris Taylor. He couldn't fit second or short, or really the outfield either. And so they moved him to Cincinnati, which is honestly more positionally more of a logjam for him. Because at second base you have Matt McLain, who was good until he got injured and missed the entire season last year. At shortstop you got Elly De La Cruz, and no one is beating out Elly De La Cruz for the shortstop job, which is why Matt McLain's at second. You don't trust him at third because the reason he's at second is because he couldn't field shortstop. So why would you have him field third base? He really has never played first base, and in the outfield it's a logjam too.
Yeah, you look at those corner infield spots, and not even that you don't necessarily trust him there, which is true. But even if you do trust him there, you still have, Candelario is out there still. You still have Encarnacio Strand that are going to be, those guys are both going to be occupying the corner, right? And you're not really bringing Gavin Lux in to be a DH. What about Spencer Steer? Where does Spencer Steer factor in?
Was he playing corner outfield last year? Steer?
He played corners.
He was playing 7 spots, give or take.
Yeah. And that's unfortunately, that kind of seems, not unfortunately, I mean, it is helpful at times, except for when you lose all of them to injury. But the Reds have 6 guys under the age of 27 that all are shortstops.
Oh, the Padres.
And they were like, oh, cool. Well, can you play third? Well, you can play second, right? And you can play first. Okay, cool. You're athletic. Put him in left field. It'll work fine. You trade for another one, unless you're thinking, hey, if it works out, it works out. We'll use him every third day. If it doesn't, we'll designate him for assignment, and we don't care. We traded Mike Sirota.
Mike Sirota, former star for the Northeastern Huskies, somebody that the Dodgers had drafted out of high school, couldn't get him to sign, unfortunately, which is why he went to Northeastern. He was a star, two-time All-American. Not traditionally a baseball powerhouse up in the Northeastern, but he was a very good player for a team that went to a couple regionals. I could see him panning out very well for the Dodgers. This is the centerpiece of this trade, but the competitive round A draft pick also very important. That's going to end up being pick like 36, 37, something like that. This is kind of a pretty heavy ransom to pay for a player that we don't really know where he fits with the Reds.
You traded with the Dodgers.
This trade doesn't make sense to me from the Reds' perspective.
You traded with the Dodgers. Welcome to trading with the Dodgers. You, for some reason, you thought Gavin Lux, who you don't even know where you're going to play him, is worth that, a competitive balance pick. And, you know, somebody was solid in college. It's like, I don't get it. It doesn't really make sense to me, unless they know something that we don't. Like, McLean's set to play, right?
Yeah, he missed the entire season because he was like, oh, I'm almost ready. He kept hitting kind of roadblocks. I see no reason why he's not out there in February and March. You know, I don't know why he's not he's probably in baseball activities already for all we know. So
okay.
I see no reason because he's also Matt McLean is a guy who's also played the outfield. If they have to put Gavin Lux in the field, I could see Matt McLean in the outfield. But again, I think why would you unseat him for Gavin Lux, someone who had for his quality like a over 800 OPS in the second half, but his first half was abysmal. I don't. He's got to earn that.
To be fair to the guy, he was recovering from a torn ACL, right? That's not an easy thing to come back from. He clearly wasn't that healthy, but even before the injury, you know, an 800 OPS is like fine, and he was never much better than that.
Currently, MLB is listing him as the top second baseman on the Reds. So, Lux, not McLean.
I don't believe that. I
don't believe that either.
If I know anything about Terry Francona, I don't know anything about Terry Francona, but I would hope that he would.
Can I give you a trivia question?
Please.
Sure.
How many players are in the depth chart for third base on the Reds?
Like 7.
I have no idea.
How did he get it right?
Well,
is it 7?
It's 7. It's Noel Marte, Heimer Candelario, Santiago Espinal.
Oh my God, I forgot they have Espinal too.
He was good.
Christian Encarnacion Strand, Ellie De La Cruz, and Gavin Lux.
Right? Why do they need Gavin Lux?
Where are you going to play Noel Marte? You can't keep him in the minors another year.
He got suspended
for
also
PEDs,
listed, and then it got kind of bad.
Lux is also listed in all 3 outfield spots. Even MLB is like, who knows? We don't really get the trade. We just said go ahead. Like,
I wonder.
Gavin Lux listed as the 5th center fielder behind Stuart Fairchild and Blake Dunn.
I want to look and see if Fangraphs has like their depth chart.
Where they have, I was gonna pull that.
They will yet. They will yet. And if I do that with this running, my computer will shut off. So
here, I got
fair enough.
Okay, so they have.
Yeah, here's the projected lineup for next year. Projected opening day starting lineup is TJ Friedel playing center field, De La Cruz at shortstop, Matt McLean at second, Tyler Stevenson catching, Jake Fraley at right field, Spencer Steer at left field, Candelario at third base, Encarnacion Strand playing first, and Gavin Lux batting ninth, DHing.
So the Fangraphs like depth chart percentage of playing time has Gavin Lux at his most at 25% of the time at second base. He also has a percentage. He has 1% at shortstop, 2% at first base, apparently, 7% at third base, 18% in left field, and 16% at DH.
Okay, I have an answer for this.
Yeah.
They've traded for Gavin Lux to play the Larry Garcia position. He's gonna play he's gonna be in the lineup every day. He's going to be playing a different position every day. He's basically going to be the guy who walks around the field and goes, "You get an off day. You get an off day. You get an off day." And when nobody needs an off day, he's gonna DH.
I just don't think his bat is good enough to justify that. Shall we move forward?
Yeah,
Neither was Larry Garcia's.
Nice. The Texas Rangers signed Chris Martin, not the Coldplay guy. The pitcher.
Oh, man. I don't.
Do you have any thoughts whatsoever here?
I was kind of hoping it was the Coldplay guy.
I was also kind of hoping it was the Coldplay guy. If only I could read the.
Yeah.
I can't read what's in parentheses. Sorry, so I didn't know that was happening.
Other than that, I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I think he could be a middle reliever.
Was he not there already?
No, he was in Boston last year. He was in Texas in 2018, 2019.
Yeah, then he was with the Braves, right?
Yes. He's played for several franchises. Never been better than like a. He was very good in the COVID year. He was very good in the COVID year, but outside of that, he's never been much better than like a 3 ERA guy. I guess he was elite in 2023. He had 55 games and his ERA was 105. So if you can recapture, that.
How many innings?
Then 51 and a third.
Not bad for a middle guy.
in your age 37 season, that'll play. But like you're signing a 39-year-old reliever, he's probably not going to be your high leverage guy. This is just a meh move.
Yeah.
Warm body.
This is putting another person in the bullpen so that halfway through the year you don't get yelled at and be like, well, we do have people in the bullpen.
True.
Look at Chris Martin.
We got Chris Martin. Moving forward, January the 7th, the San Francisco Giants signed Justin Verlander. And then the Chicago White Sox take a waiver on Bobby Dahlbeck. Let's start with Bobby Dahlbeck. John, how are we feeling?
I also texted both of you this when I saw the notification. A little excited to see what Bobby Dahlbeck can do. Currently a non-roster invite for the spring. I feel like he probably makes the 40-man just because look around the 40-man.
Yeah.
If, who knows? Honestly, like this year, it's like I really do not care what the White Sox do. We're going to lose 120 games again. Bobby can play third. He can play first. He can DH.
Jan Moncada replacement.
Exactly. Like Colson Montgomery is probably going to start the season at shortstop. Hope Chris Getz, please put a brain in your head. Start his service time. He's going to walk whenever you try to re-sign him anyways. So maybe Bobby Dahlbeck can bring some very exciting moments. Matt Davidson did that for me in like 2017. So he hit 4 home runs in the first 2 games.
I have one thought about this, and then we'll move on to the much bigger deal signing. But the tweet that I saw announcing that the Red Sox had gotten rid of Bobby Dahlbeck in the first place was from Chris Costello, the Red Sox beat reporter, and he closed the tweet with "Don't cry because it's over." Of course, the reference to the Dr. Seuss tweet, and the most liked reply from a Red Sox fan was "Cry because it happened."
Yeah, you know what? He's perfect for the South Side.
Yeah.
Dahlbeck got at his position by Casas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He played third, then he played second, then he played first, And then
he didn't
everywhere
play.
everywhere else they got better than Bobby Dahlbeck. So
we need a second baseman as well.
I bet you do. I bet
Lenine
you do.
Sosa, welcome to the South Side again.
Lenine Sosa, welcome to John yelling at you while you strike out for the 4th time in one game.
The San Francisco Giants signed 42-year-old Justin Verlander.
Wow. You know what? To the San Francisco Giants fans, to the fans of now the East Bay and the West Bay, congratulations on signing not only Justin Verlander, but you also have to deal with Ben Verlander now. Good luck.
You also get Kate Upton.
So,
That
you
is
know
true.
what? Maybe
I thought
the
that's how
ends
we-
justify the means.
How do we think Ben Verlander is going to handle, being on Shohei Ohtani's biggest rival? How's he going to handle that?
He might just collapse in on himself. If Justin Verlander strikes out Shohei Ohtani, he might go radio silent. We might never hear from him again.
It's going to be a ritual sacrifice situation, I think.
It's going to be like a system overflow. Like he won't figure out like which one is better, and it'll just he'll short circuit. You'll have nothing. Anyway, Justin Verlander's not a bad signing. I think if he can get back into form, this is fine. I can see him being like a 3 in that piece, but you also got Robbie Ray just kind of like wasting away at Double-A. That was a lot of rhyming. Oh my god. Wow. Sorry.
But he's not a rapper.
I'm not a rapper.
He's not a rapper.
I lost my train of thought. I completely lost my train of thought.
Robbie will be back, right?
He'll be healthy.
He was rehabbing for most of the season.
He should be pitching on day 1.
Yeah.
Probably. Unless they have...
He's your opening day starter still, right? Robbie Ray?
Do you try the Jordan Hicks experiment again? Because you had him for 100 innings.
And he was good for those 100 innings.
And then the wheels fell off.
Because think about it like this. Robbie Ray never pitched, right, for the Giants last year?
Yeah. He was only in San Jose. In Sacramento.
So here's your projected rotation for next year for the Dodgers, according to Fangraphs. Is Logan Webb as your opening day starter, then Robbie Ray, then Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison as the 4, Justin Verlander as the 5. I would say it's probably most likely that Jordan Hicks gets squeezed back into some sort of bullpen role, and then you probably yo-yo up Kyle Birdsong as your 5th starter, because he was phenomenal when he started last year as a rookie. But this is a weird spot for Verlander to sign. At 42 years old, like, he's got to be chasing a ring at this point. Like, there's not much left for him to prove other than that he can win outside of Houston, I guess. And I just don't see the Giants as a World Series ready team, let alone a postseason ready team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to win a World Series and you're not signing with the Dodgers, why are you signing in the NL West?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's what I have to say. Whatever. Like, go have fun. You're 42 years old and you're going to be living in San Francisco. Maybe you should have taken the Corbin Burns deal and lived somewhere without taxes.
No, Georgia does have taxes, man.
No, so does Illinois.
Thwarted again.
So does Colorado.
Most
Everywhere
states
actually
do.
has taxes, I'm pretty sure. It's just better taxes.
Fair enough.
You should have re-signed with the Mets. What are we talking about? I heard he loved it there, as long as Scherzer wasn't there.
Yeah. They also have Keaton Wynn, the Giants do. And he's injured currently, but like should be back halfway through the season. How do they handle that?
They have a bunch of starters, and then they signed a guy who will not do anything but start. Like if the front office of the Giants came to Verlander and was like, "You think you could be in the bullpen?" He'd be like, "No." Is it the postseason? No.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what they end up doing. They'll probably start running a 6-man rotation at some point, lean into the analytics. It won't work. Keep leaning into the analytics. It still won't work, and then they won't make the playoff. They'll win 81 games again.
Do we have any final thoughts on this signing, or shall we move forward?
Let's go to possibly the most least interesting day of this offseason so far. That actually has moves.
I actually would completely agree with that. Yesterday, January the 8th, we have 3 signings. The Nationals signed Ahmed Rosario. The White Sox signed Josh Rojas, and the White Sox again signed Martin Perez.
We're making
White Sox signings. Mr. Lieber, lead us off here. I didn't catch any of that. I'll be honest.
I do not care.
Okay. Mr. Sansoni, any thoughts?
I mean, Ahmed Rosario, like, he's just going to be the glue guy because Ildemaro Vargas is gone. He's just going to be that super utility, fun guy off the bench. He's not a plus defender. He's not a plus
the Jose Iglesias memorial role.
Kind of, yeah, before he went, oh my God, and actually...
latest chatties. Write that down.
Write that down. Josh Rojas is just what if Nicky Lopez was still glove forward but had a slightly better bat. And Martin Perez is an old man, his good year was like 2 years ago. Is he going to start? I think it'll be like 6 games. He'll break something and he'll be too old to recover.
This reminds me of like signing Vince Velasquez and going, he's going to start the whole year. Unfortunately, Vince Velasquez started the whole year.
He did do that.
For those of you who might have heard a Discord notification through the recording, that is Adam sending us Jose Iglesias, Memorial Super Utility Clubhouse Guy of the Year. Just in case you were curious about the inner workings of this show. We will all forget if we didn't write that down. I promise.
That's correct, yes.
We will forget that because 5 other things will be sent in that chat, and then we'll never scroll back up.
No, but it's written down now, so I'll remember it because I wrote it down.
Got it. Actually, you typed it out, I fear.
Okay.
Let's get into
all right, do we want to take a look at the top 25 list?
Yeah, it's been basically no important free agents have signed over the last week between now and when we last recorded. So we decided that we would talk about more important free agents, and we're taking a check-in on the top 25 free agents. You may have remembered from a couple months ago, we did our first show of the offseason talking about the top 25 guys, maybe predicting where they were going to sign. We now have 15 of those 25 players signed, 10 of them still hanging in the balance. Let's go 25-1 and talk about these players. Mr. Lieber, would you like to read some names to us?
Yeah, first I'd like to ask, did we write down where we thought each of these players was going to go?
No.
Ooh,
okay, thank God.
We did not.
No, I don't think we actually went through all of them. We just did like a couple. Anyway, number 20.
Yeah.
Number 25, Jurickson Profar, unsigned. Currently, rumored favorite is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Los Angeles.
I think the fact that Jurickson Profar was the 25th best free agent of this class should tell you exactly how weak this free agency class was. Because, oh my God.
Very top heavy.
Yeah.
He could be good, but he's yet to prove it outside of San Diego is the thing.
That's the thing. He's had 2 good seasons of his career. Both of them were in San Diego, so I don't know why he would sign anywhere but there.
Agreed.
If he does sign anywhere but there, he better have Fernando Tatis's phone number, because I'm just saying. Needs the drug hookup.
Number 24, Max Scherzer, the other 97-year-old man, unsigned, and John, rumored favorite is the Braves.
I guess. I mean, you got rid of Charlie Wharton. You need another old man that isn't Chris Sale. And
that whole rotation is up for Cy Young this year.
That's true.
Spencer Schwellenbach?
Yes.
Reynaldo Lopez?
He's definitely up for sale.
Ronaldo has been in the league for like 8 years.
Oh, has he really?
Yeah, he has.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was a White Sox reliever. No, he was a White Sox starter. Then he was a reliever. Then he was a starter again. Then we brought him back as a reliever. We gave him eye surgery. We made him a starter, and he was good. And then we traded him to the Angels, and then he signed with the Braves.
He was at the Guardians right afterwards too.
True.
Or no, was the Guardians or the Reds? It was the Guardians.
Let me check.
It was the Guardians, I think.
Either way,
Max Scherzer is going to be. He's going to be electric in that rehab start for the Gwinnett Stripers. Those 3 innings are going to be crazy. I think
John
he
will
could be
at
good.
that game.
I will be there. I would say no matter what, but it could just be like in the middle of August, and I might be at school. So, he could be good. That's all I really have to say. Is he could be good, as long as he doesn't like crumble to dust.
You never know.
Pumpkin like.
Yes, Max Scherzer is on Pumpkin Watch.
Pumpkin Watch. Hold on, I'm gonna write that down.
Number 23, Sean Manaea, signs with the Mets.
This is a good landing spot for him. Like, he was more than likely going to go back there anyway. Like, they need starting help. He was effective when he was there. It works.
Yeah.
That's it. You guys.
Yeah.
Can you give me a little more? Because I'm trying to pull up.
I mean,
what these deals look like.
He was like a perennial spot starter for me in fantasy baseball. I almost said fantasy football.
Nice.
Not that one.
Not that one. But he was really good. He was an anchor of that rotation, which is funny to think about that Sean Manaea, if you go back to like, some of the years he had, like beforehand, it's like, is he really anchoring a postseason pushing rotation? And he is. And so, if he can recapture some of that, I think that's what you need to say about a lot of the Mets, is if they can keep what they were doing last year going, I think this is a really savvy signing by that Mets front office.
Yeah, I mean, his ERA was under 3.5. He gave you decent innings. You got him for 3 years, 75. Like, that's not an outrageous contract by any stretch. Like, that's kind of a, I wouldn't call it a bargain signing for somebody that's going to anchor your rotation, but like for a middle of the rotation guy, that's probably right around market value. Like, I think this is a fine move.
Number 22, Tyler O'Neill signs with the Baltimore Orioles.
He's just Anthony Santander.
Yeah, for 3 years, 49.5.
Very expensive Anthony Santander. Like, I'm not sure that Santander is going to garner that much money, especially for that long of a contract. I'm a little surprised that they wanted to break up the clubhouse. But O'Neill has shown flashes. I mean, he was somebody that in his final season with the Cardinals going into the season was projected by a lot of big deal publications as somebody that could push for, an MVP. And it just never worked out in St. Louis. He couldn't elevate the ball enough. Really bounced back last year with the Red Sox, but we'll see.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just one last thing. Mike Elias begged for your life this offseason. You need to do something. Anyway, sorry, continue, John.
Number 21, Gleyber Torres signs with the Detroit Tigers on a 1-year, $15 million deal.
He's such a Tiger. Like, I know he's played his whole career in New York, but like, he is such a Tiger. This is like the perfect player for that team.
It's like, it gave me the same feeling that when Javi Baez signed there, it's like, you know what, I can see him as a Tiger.
Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't turn out like Javi Baez. Because, but...
Is he even still playing? Where's he at?
Yes. Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. He still plays. I won't say he plays well. He plays. He is there. And
That was my impression of his swing. The ball was actually nowhere near 8.5 feet out of the zone, though.
The ball was actually in my square of the camera.
Yeah.
So, great job.
Oh, that's funny.
Gosh. If only he could ever reclaim that 2016 Heat. Or not, because I don't like him.
Yeah. Glaber, I think he'll be good. At least, I think he'll be like a 2-WAR player or more. I think he'll be good.
Number 20, Kikuchi signs with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and Yu Darvish's floor for 3 years and $63.5 million.
That was such a fun tweet.
That was so funny.
For those of you who aren't on X, the Everything app,
you should be. Follow us.
You should be at the chatting AVG. But Yu Darvish tweeted that Yusei Kikuchi came over and brought some Japanese liquor, right? And that he mentioned that they hadn't really talked in passing before this, so this was like the first time they really sat down and talked. And so there, John's showing you a picture of the liquor. The next picture, he describes that Yusei Kikuchi drank so much that he passed out on the floor. And that is Yusei Kikuchi on Yu Darvish's floor.
Would you like me to read the post?
Yeah,
please.
It's translated from Japanese to English.
I had dinner with the Kikuchi couple while they were on vacation at the end of last year. We had a lively and fun time together with both families in the house we rented. That emoji. Kikuchi drank most of the hibiki that he brought with him and eventually passed out drunk. He couldn't find an Uber to take us home, so we ended up staying the night. Noting permission was granted to take this photo. He then retweeted the same post and said, by the way, up until this day, we would only say hello when we met at a stadium, and we had no private contact. Neither Kikuchi nor I drank much alcohol, so we had not planned to drink and for our wives to drink. But before we knew it, we had drunk quite a lot ourselves. LOL.
Who among us cannot relate? Who cannot relate?
Honestly, last night we let the hibiki talk. That's all I'm saying.
Who hasn't had a night at the bar where they're like, I'll have 1 or 2 beers, and then 7 beers later they're like, oh, this was a bad idea.
It's like, I am fighting a lamppost, I'm fighting the curb. Not me, personally, but like the metaphorical, like the royal...
You'll get there eventually.
Sometime.
The entire conversation ends with, it seems that Kikuchi was a big supporter of mine when I was at Tohoku High School, when I was in elementary school. And I was surprised that he remembered every detail from that time. I learned a lot from talking about training and nutrition.
I'm glad they had fun together.
You know what? I hope this is the start of a blossoming friendship. I hope we
get one of those tweets every off season.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, fine. He'll be the frontline starter for the Angels.
Yeah, an Angels team that isn't particularly competitive, but like good for Yusei. I think a lot of Asian players, a lot of Asian international players like to end up on the West Coast just because it's a little bit closer to home. The Angels are a pretty good landing spot. I mean, there's not going to be a ton of pressure on him. I like it. I like that. I like this fit.
Yusei Kikuchi will be traded by the deadline. Team. Clay Holmes signs with the Mets on a 3-year, $38 million deal.
They're making him a starter.
Correct. They did the same thing to Seth Lugo last year.
And that turned out well, though.
It
not
did
the same
turn out
team,
well.
But
the Royals.
The Padres did it.
Or the Padres.
The Padres did it, and then they went to KC.
Yeah.
Well, the Giants tried to do it with Jordan Hicks, and it did not go as well.
That's kind of that's really been in vogue lately. I don't know if it's just been that we've been paying more attention to it, but the high leverage reliever to starter pipeline is a lot more active than I thought it would be. Like they tried
to when they tried to do it, they're like, oh, this guy throws 102 for 1 inning. Wouldn't it be real cool if he could do that for 7? And then we're like,
and he throws 95.
But hang on. all of your starters that throw 95 could also throw 100 for one inning. Trust, like
True.
because they're suddenly more gifted,
Yeah,
and then you see those guys get surgery.
Like you saw Walker Buehler in the World Series throwing 97, 98.
Yeah,
because he's closing a game.
Yeah, because he knew he had one inning in him. That's all he had to do.
And I'm sorry, but Clay Holmes was ineffectively wild last year. That's why he lost his job to Luke Weaver.
I would agree.
If you're dialing back that velocity, you really need to hope that comes with an increase in control. Otherwise, you have a guy tossing 95 who can't find the zone and has durability concerns.
Right. Number 18, Carlos Estevez is currently unsigned. Favorites are the Cubs and the Blue Jays, two teams that cannot decide what they're doing with their organization.
Yeah, no organizational direction for either of them. Carlos Estevez, I think, is a bit of a wild card. I thought, like Clay Holmes, he's a high leverage reliever, somebody that is wild from time to time. Any competing team could use another high leverage reliever, so I won't be surprised if he signs anywhere. I'm just a little surprised that he hasn't been signed yet. Normally, relievers go off the market pretty quickly. I don't know necessarily what he's waiting on, but expect to see him come off the board maybe in the next week or so. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think
so.
That's probably fair to say for all of these guys, to be honest. That are
otherwise, it's going to be a really boring episode next week.
Well, also, it'll just be...
It won't be. It won't be. We're electric personalities.
It's getting to the point where you're not signing... And I know, like, spring training's for pitchers. Like, hitters don't care. But, like, at some point, you'd like to be like, oh, yeah, in a month, I have to be in blank. Like, I mean,
you'd like to have that level of certainty, right?
Yeah, when do pitchers and catchers report? Less than a month and a half away, right?
Yeah.
They report in February, end of February, right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 weeks away.
Yeah. Number 17.
Yeah.
The Yankees are making a run for him, I think, as a potential Gleyber Torres replacement. I think he's probably a better player than Gleyber Torres, frankly. Ha-Seong Kim it's a little surprising to me that he's still unsigned. This is a speedy, super utility guy. There's not a team in baseball that couldn't use him, except for maybe the Reds.
True. All right, let's run through a couple of these. Michael Wacha signs with the Royals, 3 years, $51 million. Anything real quick?
No.
He was always going to re-sign there. That's a fine deal.
Yeah. And then number 15, Teoscar Hernandez re-signs with the Dodgers because Klarna.
No comment.
And that is a 3-year, $66 million deal. I believe that one actually doesn't have deferred payments.
I think you're right about that. And, when you're giving a 3-year deal to a 32-year-old, you don't want to defer those payments. He needs his money now.
Correct. So that's another guy re-signing with his team. Let's round that out with Nathan Eovaldi re-signs with the Rangers as well for 3 years, $75 million.
This deal very similar, I think, to Sean Manaea. He was effective there. 3 years is fine.
John?
No,
anything?
I no. Sean,
All right.
I thought he was going to the Braves for a second, but guess not. Alex Anthopoulos.
Number 13, Christian Walker signs with the Houston Astros of Houston for 3 years, $60 million.
This one was a bit of a surprising one. I think the Diamondbacks got a lot worse by losing him. We've talked about this signing kind of in depth from the Astros perspective when it happened, with the Astros trying to rebuild and put together a new, divisional contender now that they've lost kind of all their pieces from that 2017, 2019, 2021 team. I think this is a bigger deal maybe for the Diamondbacks than it is for the Astros.
I agree.
Yeah,
and they really haven't done anything to replace him yet either.
Exactly. That's a bad loss. Bad loss for the D-backs.
I mean, the Astros needed a first baseman, like literally any first baseman that wasn't John Singleton. So, I mean, it's a need move for the Astros, but I don't think he gives nearly as much value to them.
Yeah, first play. Oh, I guess they did. The Diamondbacks secondly did make a move. They have Josh Naylor.
True, but
yeah. Number 12, Shane Bieber signs a 2-year deal worth $26 million back with the Guardians because I think he's afraid of every other city in this nation and the one city in the nation above.
Yeah, I'm
True.
very surprised he re-signed with the Guardians. It felt like a natural breaking point between the two teams or between the two parties, and
it just doesn't make sense. It's like, yes, you've won the division a couple times, but like the team has shown you year after year after year that they don't care. Also, they're paying you $13 million. You're telling me Shane Bieber couldn't go walk over to John, say a random team,
Rays.
the Rays, and make 19, 20? He's a former Cy Young. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why you continue to stay in Cleveland when they've legitimately shown you that we're going to do enough to win the division because the division's terrible, and it isn't anymore. We're going to do enough to win the division, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to ever do anything in the playoffs. I love losing to the Yankees in the next round every year.
I don't get what they're doing in Cleveland.
Nobody does.
Anyway.
What are they doing?
Number 11, Tanner Scott, currently unsigned.
Tanner Scott kind of falls into that same category as Carlos Estevez, although I think Scott is a much better player, frankly. Just a high leverage reliever that any team could use. The market's got to be going at some point. Like these relievers have to get picked up at some point, and we'll see where he ends up, but he's going to be effective wherever he goes.
Want to just like speed run these top 10?
Okay, before we enter the top 10, literally, we need to address the elephant in the room. John's computer is terrible. We run everything off of it, of course, because
we're technologically advanced more than anything.
Yeah.
Because we haze him. Not really.
We did at one point.
We did at one point. And now he's kind of just does everything.
That night in the fountain was not pretty.
Anyway,
I don't know what you guys expected from me. It's a fountain, and it was like October, so.
Anyways, his computer crashed, and it didn't
You're
work.
welcome for the free trip to Kauffman Stadium, by the way.
It's a lie.
We tried to record it, and it didn't kind of work out, so we're re-recording it 3 days later.
Yeah. So today
No free agency update, but we will get to the top 10 free agents.
Andrew Kittredge and Jeff Hoffman both signed. Who cares? All right.
Joff Hoffman.
Joff Hoffman.
You heard it here first.
We're going to start back at number 10. Number 10 of the free agency, I don't know, whatever this is, top 25 free agents. Jack Flaherty unsigned, and nobody knows where he's going to go. There's no rumors. There still are no rumors, and it's 3 days later. My only guess is somewhere in California.
I think he's
Flaherty, a California native, would make sense for him to want to stay around Southern California. It's where he grew up. He got a ring there last year, had the best second half, dare I say, of his entire career with the Dodgers. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like the Dodgers need to bring him back. They've signed a lot of people in the offseason. He hasn't been one of them. What I will say about Jack Flaherty is I think he's probably the best starter, or at least most established starter still on the market. Any team that's pushing for the playoffs and needs to bolster their rotation, like, this is your guy. Go get him.
I would agree with probably the best at this point. Max Scherzer is still also unsigned, but yeah.
Scherzer's also
I don't know.
too, so.
True. I don't know. He's obviously an LA guy. Like, I would think prefers to be there since that was the only place he said he would go in a trade at the deadline during the last season. So it would make sense if he wants to stay at home and not far off from where he grew up.
How does he feel about Orange County? All I'm saying is, like, the Angels aren't competing, but they are in Southern California, which is more than can be said for 27 other teams in the league.
You're right.
That's the point.
Just saying. Artie Moreno, pay me.
If he wants, he got his ring. If he just wants to live in Southern California, I don't blame him. Go live in. He probably wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. How far away is Anaheim from like? Is Anaheim? Nope, I'm not saying that.
All right, cool.
Number 9 is Willy Adames to the Giants on a 7-year, $182 million deal.
Why?
Yeah, this one still makes no sense to me.
Great point.
They didn't need a middle infielder. Like,
yeah.
we've talked, like, you know, the Reds have a crowded infield, the Dodgers have a crowded infield, the Giants have a crowded infield. They got Marco Luciano and Tyler Fitzgerald presumably up the middle, and now you've just got to move one of them. Brett Wisely's still kind of in the mix. He's young enough. You know, like, there's too many moving pieces for me to feel comfortable that this is the splash move they needed to make.
They might be ready to move on from Luciano, to be honest with you. Just based on it's been 2 years, give or take, in the majors, and we haven't really seen anything at all from him so far. That's still, not a ton of time for a prospect of his caliber, or at least at one point what his caliber was thought to be. That being said, the Giants really have this knack for going out and signing just about every offseason. They'll go and make a big splash by signing somebody that everyone's like, why? What's that fit? I don't know. And the Giants,
Jock Peterson like 6 years ago.
In free agency, every year the Giants do this. Like Evan Longoria a couple of years back fits that mold as well. Like, I just don't think, and even now with a completely new front office, I'm just not sure the Giants are as, wise as a lot of people think they are. I don't think Willy Adames is going to be a franchise cornerstone guy. I don't think he's going to be a franchise-changing guy. This doesn't move the needle for me.
I think the only thing is that they're basically replacing Brandon Crawford. How much that matters, who cares? They probably won't be competitive in the division because they play in the same division as the Dodgers and the Padres.
And the Diamondbacks.
And the Rockies.
Are good. Well,
and the Rockies.
Well, the Rockies are there.
It's true.
Well,
it's
that's
true.
Better than some teams.
Me if I was a geologist.
Number 8, Pete Alonso, currently unsigned. Still Mets rumored favorite because if he hasn't been signed at this point, he's got to go play for somebody.
This feels like the Boris 4 all over again. Like, he's getting way overestimated. He's getting way overestimated with his value, and he thinks he's more valuable. Whoever his agent is, so probably Scott Boras, I think. I don't know.
I'm checking.
I don't see him as anyone else but a Met. Is Scott Boras? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. I don't think he's a one-tool player, and it's power. It's a plus power, but he's not that great at anything else. He's
not good defensively. He doesn't have very good plate discipline. He can't base run. He certainly can't base run.
No. So unless you're like that starved for a first baseman that you're gonna move, and we've seen a lot of first basemen besides him move. I think Cohen's gonna swoop in at some point and be like, hey, Mark is kind of cold, man. You sure you don't want to come back? And Boris and Alonso are going to come in with their tails tucked, and they're going to take a deal back in Queens.
So I'll ask you guys this question about Pete Alonso, and I'm going to bring this question back up later about another player in the top 10 because I think their free agencies have been very similar to this point. Does the fact that Pete Alonso is currently unsigned signal to you guys that maybe his market isn't what he thought he was? Maybe he's not the caliber of player that he thought he was? Or do you think it's just a matter of, I have my dollar sign, and if you don't meet that, I'm not signing no matter what?
I think at this point it's I think it's obvious to me that it is more of who wants just a guy at first base who can hit home runs. Like, if he gets on base, if he hits a single to the outfield, he's going to be doubled off at second base, is my kind of thing. Whereas I think some of the other first basemen that have gone off the board, like Christian Walker, those guys aren't like, they're not blinding speed, but they're not going to get doubled off anytime they get on base, and if it's not a home run.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit Alonso's overestimating what he has, and teams are either underestimating or correctly evaluating what he can provide for them. Because I think all the first base needing teams already moved for younger or more well-rounded players. I think, you either have to be a team that has a free first base or even a DH spot and is starved for power, or, the Mets who already know what they have and aren't really wanting at first base. They have prospectively Pete Alonso. They could slide whenever Brett Beatty comes back. Mark Vientos could end up sliding to first as well. At the end of the day, Pete Alonso might need to swallow his pride a little bit and just be like, you know what? You just got to get signed somewhere. Playing baseball in the league is more than a lot of people can say. Swallow your pride and take a deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously still MLB talent. It's not like we're not trying to say that he shouldn't be in the league. Like, he's going to hit 45 home runs next year, whatever team he plays for. So,
right.
It just
he's got to play
on
for one.
How much a player or how much a team wants to pay a player who is just hitting home runs. In quotes for the audio listeners, just hitting home runs.
But hey, he's going to look great in that home run derby uniform, where whatever city's hosting the All-Star game this year.
Spinning chain.
Number 7, Anthony Santander, unsigned. Currently, the Detroit Tigers are the rumored favorites.
I'm very surprised that he hasn't signed yet. I mean, even if teams don't see him as anything more than a DH, to me, he still has outfield legs in him. But even if teams don't see him as more than a DH, like, I don't think there's a team in the league that couldn't use an Anthony Santander in their clubhouse.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Exactly. I mean, he's in my mind, he fits a similar need as when the Braves went out and got Jorge Soler. As, this is a guy who, obviously better defense than Jorge Soler. I might defend better than Jorge Soler in the outfield, to be perfectly honest with you. But is a guy with plus power. He's got good plate discipline. You can generally trust him to be in your top 3 bats in the lineup on any given day, just by value. I'm surprised the Orioles didn't make more of a move to bring him back. It felt like they kind of made a weird move to bring in Tyler O'Neill for more money. And, it kind of shows how the Orioles are evaluating him. And I've said my piece about the Orioles front office. Well, it's a well-worn path by now. But I like this move for prospectively for the Tigers. I think there are plenty of outfield spots out there. Go out and make a move.
I think it's really weird that he hasn't been signed yet, especially since all season all it was, hey, Anthony Santander's on a contract year, and look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Yeah. Everybody was talking about it, and then it's all of a sudden like the Orioles went out and signed O'Neill, and then nobody's even, like, you haven't even really heard anything about Santander. And it's suddenly like, well, why did they sign somebody for more money who provided the same thing? I don't know.
It's a weird spot to be in.
Exactly. Number 6 is Max Fried. He signed with the Yankees for a 8-year, $218 million deal. It's 27.25 a year. Unrestricted free agent in 2033, John. So if the Braves want to sign him, then 1% to the Braves Foundation.
You know what? If he wants to come back for that 1% for the vet minimum, whenever that is, I think he's 30, 31 right now, maybe 29. But this is a very good move for the Yankees. You have someone you're confident in putting out there as a opening day starter if it's not Garrett Cole, which means that you have a confident 1-2 punch any 5 days and the playoffs. But,
Ooh.
This is the first time they've had a 1-2 punch in a long time, because it's
Exactly.
been, for a long time, it's kind of been Garrett Cole and the other guys. Now having a bit of a more well-rounded rotation, I think this is the biggest move of the offseason for the Yankees. I think this helps them a ton.
For sure.
And he's a very good run prevention starting pitcher too. I do wonder about the Yankees infield defense. This is a guy who throws, he sometimes throws sinkers, curveballs. His bread and butter there as well. I do wonder, especially with a question mark at second base right now. But make no mistake, this is a very valuable move for the Yankees. You were pondering something there.
Who plays second base for them? I mean, it was Glaber, but
they might move Jazz or DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
I forget the DJ's still there.
You put Jazz at second, and then you've got Cody Bellinger in center field, so you don't need him in the outfield anymore.
So it's what, Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza, Nolan Arenado, maybe?
Let's look at the FanGraphs depth chart.
I hope it's not Nolan Arenado. Do you guys see, because we're recording in the future, which is also now the past, which might also be the current day, took out a full-page ad in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch today.
I actually did read that. I think that's very cool.
He's gone.
So here's their projected infield. You ready for this? Goldschmidt, first base. Your third baseman is Oswaldo Cabrera. Your shortstop is Volpe, and your second baseman is Jazz Chisholm Jr. Around the outfield, left to right, Jason Dominguez, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton DHing, Austin Wells catching. This is a very good baseball club.
Agreed. On to number 5. We're into the top 5, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Bregman, still currently unsigned, with the Red Sox being the favorite.
Alex Bregman falls into the same category as Pete Alonso, and I'm going to pose to you guys the same question as I did with Pete Alonso. Are teams cold on Alex Bregman? Do they think that he's maybe not a top 5 free agent from this class? Do they not think he's that caliber of a player? Or is he just hung up not getting as much money as he demands?
Alex Bregman,
what do you think he's demanding?
I don't know. Because here's the thing. Alex Bregman was a really good rookie, right? He was really good the first year he came to the league. He was really good when he first broke out. And he's been above average since. Not stellar. He's been above average.
He's coming off the first year since 2021. Slightly above average hitter at 118 OPS plus, but obviously 2 years ago he's at 134, 122 the year before that. Not a great contract year, Bob.
No.
So I'm going to read you season by season WAR for Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
2016 is de facto rookie year. He played less than 50 games, so take that what you will. He had a 1.3 WAR, his true rookie year, 1.9. 2018 was his breakout season. He was an all-star, finished 5th in MVP voting, 7.9 WAR. Followed that up in 2019 with 8.9 WAR, finished 2nd in MVP voting, won a Silver Slugger, went to the All-Star game. Here are the 5 seasons that have followed that 8.9 league-leading WAR season. 1.1, 2.1,
That's 2020,
4.6, 4.9, 4.1.
See, he's found his niche,
2.1 in 2021. That was not the COVID year.
I think he's found his niche. I think it's telling that early on in the offseason we had reports likely from his camp saying that he was willing to move to second base. That's incredibly telling to me because it says that he or someone around in his circle understands that his value as someone, who's already come over the hump of his career is, he might need to be more selective. Teams have the ability to say no to him. So I am honestly surprised the Red Sox haven't done something. To be perfectly honest with you, I feel like it's been a will they won't they for a while, but he's not the world-breaking star that he once was.
Yeah, I think had he come a free agent around 2019, 2020, something like that, he would have garnered a mega contract. But I think that a lot of the flaws that he has as a player have kind of come to the surface since then, and especially since the Astros stopped cheating, he hasn't been quite as good a hitter. Just gonna put that out there.
Interesting. I wonder how you go from an 8.9 to a 2.1 2 years later. More.
I'm just saying. But Alex Bregman, I think, I won't say he's the best hitter left on the market because I see him as like a 120 OPS plus guy every year. And again, like Sansoni said, like it's not like he's winning gold gloves at third base. And granted, third base is a very difficult defensive position, right? There's a lot of very good talent at third base. But like, I just don't see him being a franchise cornerstone guy. I see him taking maybe a 1 or 2 year contract because maybe that's all he's going to be able to get.
He did win a Gold Glove last year. Just saying. Number 4 is Blake Snell. He signed that 5-year, $182 million deal with the Klarna Dodgers, a $52 million signing bonus. And guys, don't worry. Deferred money starts in 2035, and he'll be paid $5.5 million all the way up until 2046 per year.
He will
11 years of that.
He will be the highest paid sports simulation game Twitch streamer of the 2030s.
Snellzilla. Remember the name.
Snellzilla. I think we've talked about Snell signing enough. Thoughts?
I hate it. I mean,
yeah, no, I think we all don't like it.
Yeah. Listen, I understand that rivalries in baseball aren't what they used to be. Rivalries in sports in general aren't what they used to be. But there's just something that doesn't sit right to me about going from one team to that team's biggest rival in the same offseason. I don't care that they were offering you the most amount of money. That's just not something you do.
Yeah.
It's part of the unwritten rules that Tony La Russa believes in.
Oh,
shout out Tony, friend of the program.
Number 3 on the list is Roki Sasaka. He's still currently unsigned, obviously rumored to the Dodgers because who isn't? Who knows if he'll sign? He's posted.
Please sign anywhere else but Los Angeles Dodgers, please.
I hear it went great. I hear it went great for Shohei in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
or I don't know. Go join the best rotation in baseball and go to Seattle.
I think Seattle's kind of an X factor here. I think a lot of times when you see these international players coming over from, Asian countries, whether that be Korea, whether that be Japan in this case, I think the favorites are generally these West Coast teams just because it's not quite as far from home. Certainly not close to home, but it's not quite as far. And also there's a lot of Asian culture in West Coast cities as a result of that, as a result of, historical immigration that we don't have time to go into right now. But
that's in the
if there's anybody, yes, if there's any team that has a history of having success with players from Japan, Seattle's right up there, right? Does the name Ichiro mean anything to anyone? I'm just
First
saying.
ballot Hall of Famer.
I really think that they're an X factor here. Yes, the Dodgers are the favorite. Everybody thinks the Dodgers are the favorite. Who doesn't want to go play with Shohei Ohtani? I get it. But I could totally see him in Seattle. It's a really good rotation. And you mentioned Anaheim earlier, both of you. They got another another Japanese star over there right now that just signed this offseason, Yusei Kikuchi. Having those kind of teammates matters.
Exactly. Let's wrap up these last two. We've talked about both of them in detail, but it's Corbin Burns who signed that 6-year, $210 million deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Funny thing about him, he's also got deferred money. When he's done with this contract, he's going to be 36, which he may sign another contract, right?
Yeah, he could keep playing after that.
So after 2031, which is when the deal ends, he makes $10 million for the next 2 years, then $11 million until 2036. Like, he could play for half of that deferred money contract.
Right.
Yeah.
That's insane.
See,
Shout out. But you know what? Here's the thing. If the whole thing is about saving money on taxes, he has to stay in Arizona.
That is an issue.
Or go to
that
Texas.
Is an issue. This ain't Texas.
In a hole.
And then obviously the number one. Give me the Juan. I'm like looking up their contract details on my phone, and I've typed in Juan Soto, and it's like, do you mean the one on the one that matters, or the one that's on the Houston Astros?
John Soto.
Juan Soto signed a $15 million, 15-year, $765 million deal with the New York Mets. He won't play the entire his contract there. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2040. So, John, the Braves could sign him.
Yes.
Do you think we'll still be doing this podcast in 2040?
Yes. I'm going to be one of the those floating heads in a jar from Futurama. Inexplicably.
Why do you think you're going to be dead?
I never said that. I never said I was going to be dead.
It's just going to happen one day, and we're just going to start dealing with it.
Yeah, just saying.
Hey, guys. No deferred money on this one.
See, Los Angeles, not every mega deal has to go for 40 years.
Hey, guys, all I'm saying, Scott Boras knew what he was doing with this contract.
A broken clock finds a nut twice a day or something.
I don't think that's how that saying goes, actually. I don't think that's right.
Okay, hang on. I have a little trivia for you, too. Not trivia, fun facts. Juan Soto, $765 million over 15 years. How much is that a year?
Oh, man.
It's
765 over 15, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, mental math.
That's got to be in the neighborhood of 50 a year, right?
It's 51 million.
Change? Okay.
51 million a year. Juan Soto's career earnings through 2025.
Probably like 50.
$82 million.
Wow.
He's going to make his career earnings in a year.
Wow. Pretty much. So the system that we have for free agency in Major League Baseball is very restrictive of young superstars. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Yes.
Is that cool to say? Juan Soto has been the victim of a system that was designed to stop him from getting money, and I'm glad he's getting his money now because he needs it.
My favorite thing about Juan Soto's career earnings, in 2015, when he was 16 years old, he made $1.5 million. Mind you, in 2018, when they won the World Series in 2019?
In 19, yeah.
19, yeah.
In 2019, when he won the World Series for Washington, he made $578,000. He made $233,000 the year after that. And then the deal got restructured. You have to remember that. Like, the arbitration was kind of bad for the Nationals because they were like, "Well, we want to pay you what you've been making," and he was like, "I'm literally the MVP," and they were like, "Oh crap, you're right. Here's $8.5 million."
Yeah. Again, free agency. It's good for older players. I'll say that.
All right. Well, that's it for the top 25 free agents. We'll probably check back in at that list at some point. Maybe one of them will sign somewhere. Pete Alonso, I'm looking at you. Go back to New York. Go win a ring. Other than that, it's immaculate grid time, I believe.
I believe it is.
Sure.
Row 1 is the A's, row 2 is the O's, and row 3 is Hall of Famers. Column
Man,
1.
John, what's the immaculate grid?
It's a 3x3 grid, blah, 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 blah. Column
What?
1 is the San Diego Padres. Column 2 is the Pittsburgh Pirates. And column 3 is 2,000 plus hits in a career. Does anybody have anything?
San Diego and the Athletics.
I'm
I'm
also
trying to
thinking
remember.
about that one.
I want to say Christian Bethencourt was on both teams.
He definitely
say-
was. My mind went to Yonder Alonso, but I'm fine with Christian Bettencourt. That's fine.
Kind of like Yonder Alonso. Wander over yonder. We're putting Yonder Alonso. Oh,
Yay! Yay!
Boom. Boom. Boom.
Pirates
On.
A's. That isn't Miguel Andujar. Billy McKinney.
For where?
I think he was an
Phase.
Athletics. So Athletics Pirates, I think. I think he was
Who
an
is it?
Athletic. Billy
who?
McKinney. McKinney.
Oh my gosh. My computer is not liking me right now. It just made me put in Billy Williams. Okay, give me a second.
Oh boy. Billy Willie is not who he said.
Willie Billiams.
I have an idea for Pirates Orioles when we get to that point, but I want to start by saying playing for the Pirates and the Orioles feels illegal. Like, those are two teams that should just never intersect.
I think it's a little bit of the Steelers-Ravens rivalry bleeding over in my mind.
Oh yeah, that could be.
I don't see Pittsburgh and Baltimore, like, it's like trying to push the two ends of a magnet together.
All right, we're set up here. What do you guys got?
Orioles Pirates. Adam Frazier.
Oh. We know an Adam.
Adam Frazier, 5%.
Ah,
Okay.
shucks.
Orioles Padres. Jace Peterson.
Ooh, I like that. Good work.
Thank you.
0.1.
With 2,000 hits, this is gonna be a tough one to get like a sneaky one on.
Correct. Or Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame 2,000 hits could be practically any Hall of Fame hitter.
I have an interesting one for Padres Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Ozzie Smith.
Oh.
He started his career there.
Interesting.
Padres, right?
Yes.
5%.
Ah! Gadzooks, Batman.
I mean, it's gonna be kind of hard to get a Hall of Famer that people haven't heard of.
Correct.
Like Pirates Hall of Fame, we could do. Did Goose Gossage? I think he was a Pirate.
Yes.
Can we do him?
He played for them in like the late 2010. No. Wait, what?
Rich Gossage, Goose Gossage.
He played in the 19. He
was a
what was I
70s.
saying?
in like the 1950s, so I have no idea why
Yeah,
you think
long-
he played for them in the late.
Rich Gossage played in the what?
Yeah, Rich Gossage.
Rich Gossage.
For the
Yeah,
Pirates.
in the 70s through the 90s, guys, not in the 50s.
He was born in 1951 in Colorado Springs.
Ah,
Look at that.
Now we just need the hits column.
We do just need the hits column, guys.
Who's a longtime player that barely had a stay in San Diego and in Baltimore? That's what we're trying to do.
I don't know, but I have a Hall of Famer with 2,000 plus hits.
Who is it?
Which is all of them, but it's Carlton Fisk.
Okay.
Thoughts? Yes, dig it in. Point
sure,
3.
Yeah. All right, so we're looking for an athletic and an Oriole. Athletic and an Oriole. Are Orioles real birds?
You know, that's a very good question, actually.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen an
you
Oriole.
Yes, you have.
Jim Thome played for the Orioles.
Correct.
Did he get to 2,000? I'm sure he did.
I think he probably did.
So did Vladimir Guerrero.
Well, that's a thought.
Thoughts?
Yeah, just do Vlad Senior.
2%.
All right, so we need. Do we need just A's now?
We didn't need an A's 2,000 hits.
What about? I'm just saying what about, but I haven't thought of one yet.
I haven't thought of one either.
Great idea.
McCovey's going to be too obvious, right?
See, that's where my mind went immediately as well. Him or Ricky?
No, Ricky's going to be probably the top answer.
Yeah.
What about...
How about Reggie Jackson? Do people remember that he played for the Kansas City A's?
What about Miguel Tejada?
Yeah, actually, Tejada, sure.
Sure, yeah?
Sure.
Miguel. 21%. 21 rarity score, I apologize.
Oh,
21 rarity score, I apologize.
I was going to say 21%.
Oh, my God.
Dude.
Who's putting Miguel Tejada down?
The hardest answer to find was Orioles Pirates at 48%.
I said that.
Bobby Bonilla is the number one answer there. Miguel Tejada 6%, which technically was our highest answer. Sorry, guys.
I guess it's fine.
Who else could we have used in that spot? Well, there's 47 guys.
Wow. That's kind of a
lot. Ty Cobb, Pete Rose.
Oh, Pete Rose kind of would have been an interesting poll.
No, wait.
People don't remember him outside of Cincinnati.
No, I'm sorry. That's just the number one. That's just the hits list. I'd have to look up Oakland.
This guy.
What else was I going to look for? There's only 137 Hall of Famers who have 2,000 plus hits in their career. I guess that doesn't count pitchers. Never mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Well, we could have time to rant, or we could just go.
I think we should just go.
We've stretched this out over multiple days. I feel like
this is a 3-day long podcast. It's time to wrap it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Chatting Average on wherever you find your. For the audio listeners, Adam just pulled out a magnifying glass. Oh my gosh, it's a super sleuth episode right now. Thank you for listening to the Chatting Average on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts,
YouTube.
If you're listening on Spotify, go give the YouTube a subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Like on the video.
Follow us on X, the Everything app.
Yeah, follow us on X, the Everything app at Chatting
AVG.
And then rate us on wherever you're listening to this podcast. I think they all have rating things, right? Download the podcast.
Make sure it's 5 stars, all right?
Oh, make sure it's 5 stars, guys.
Just saying.
If it's 5 stars, maybe. Just saying. Thank you for listening, John, Adam, or as I like to call them, how many time for idiots.
Yay!